Let's visit type and layer styles in this tutorial. Type does have a few changes. When you're in the type tool, you get an options bar that looks like this. It has color, it has some paragraph things like left justified, center, right justified. I like starting out with left justified even if I decide to center, because it gets a little confusing. When you're centered, things can go off the page. This is in Minion Pro Bold Italic. I'm going to change this to bold. I like to work with the panels. They come grouped together, character and paragraph, but you can separate them. You can bring it up this way, or you can go under Window. If they're already on the desktop, which mine are, it'll just pop out. See, here they are. If you just click this, they pop out. I want to get a darker color so it's easier for you to see. I'll start out with black. I'm going to click OK, and I want a bigger size, so again, it's easier for teaching. And I'm going to click here, and this is new. It immediately puts in placeholder type before you even started to type. So don't get, if you haven't worked with 2019, CC 2019, this is what this is. So I'm just going to type in, I'm going to capitalize Photoshop, capitalize CC, and then 2019. And if you hit return, it gives you a second line. I'm going to delete that. If you hit the enter key on your extended keyboard or this check mark, it tells Photoshop you're finished typing. So that's what it looks like. If you want to change the font, there's something called auditioning the type. If I highlight it in here where it says Minion Pro, and that happens to be the Photoshop default, and start going down with the arrow keys on the keyboard, whatever fonts you happen to have loaded in your machine, it's going to start scrolling through them. This is a very nice feature if you're designing a type logo, because you can kind of see what the words or letters look like in different fonts very quickly. If you load enough things onto your computer. These are icon fonts. So I'm going to get, let's see, I'd like something very solid so I can show you some of the layer styles. And then we'll get into some other stuff. What is that? Aquiline. I'd like to get something that you probably have. So I'm going to click in here and type in an HE. For Helvetica should come up. Helvetica Black, nice thick font. I'm going to change the color now. The nice thing about fonts is as long as you're on this layer, you don't have to be in the type tool. And I can change the color. I'm on the type layer. I'm going to change the color to red. And it changes it right on the spot in real time. That's extremely nice feature. I'm going to collapse this for a moment, and we're going to do some more with layer styles. You can double click over here at the right of the layer. Layers are very active, but you can also go down here and get, let's say we'll just get the drop shadow from here right now. It brings up the layer style box. I'll bring it up a couple different ways so you can see it. Notice I have check marked. It comes up automatically check marked and highlighted drop shadow. So if I want to make the distance of the drop shadow more, I can drag the slider. The drop shadow in particular has a nice feature where you can just move into the screen while it's up and move it around live. Not all of the layer styles have this feature. The spread adds darkness to it. Sometimes you want to do that, sometimes you don't. Size is softness of the shadow. Angle is which angle the light is coming from, so the shadow goes in that direction. We'll talk about use global light at some other time. but it means every layer style is going to be the same angle. Opacity, I can make the opacity darker. And we're going to talk about blend modes. Drop shadow automatically defaults to multiply because when a shadow is cast onto, say, a blue building, the shadow takes on a little bit of blue tinge. That's why it's multiply, but we'll do that later. Let's say I want to add bevel and emboss. If I just check it, it gives me a default bevel and emboss, but it doesn't change the edit modes in here. You must actually be on bevel and emboss to get the editing capabilities. I don't want smooth, I want it to be chiseled. I don't want it to be a 7, I want it to be a 5. And I don't want it to be soft, and it's not soft. Up or down, the choice is there. And there's a lot of other choices here, as you can see. If I decide I don't like the red color, I can go in here and say, okay, now it's gray. It defaults to gray. Let's say I decide, oh, maybe it would look better in green. Well, it's not changed. Here we go. There we go. Green. It gives you a real life preview what it would look like with a color overlay. So I'm going to click OK. Now, the beauty of all these things I have on here, let's say I decide I don't like the color overlay, but I'm not sure I want to throw it out yet. I can turn off the eyeball to see what that looks like. I'm going to create a shape. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to get the marquee tool. I'm going to create a shape. I'm going to get a color by clicking in the chip, the foreground chip. Go down here, the hue. I'm going to get a hue. I'm going to get kind of a chartreuse color. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut for fill, Option or Alt, Delete, or Backspace. I'm going to Command D to get rid of the marching ants. I'm going to grab effects, copy them over. So I just copied everything over, and since I have color overlay turned off, but when I turn it on, it takes on the other green. I didn't want to copy them over, so I'm going to Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. I didn't want to move them over, I wanted to copy them over. To copy them over, I'm going to hold the Option or Alt key, grab all of the effects, and now notice they stayed on the type, and they're now on the shape. So on the type, I want it to be that green. On the shape, I don't. So I'm going to grab this little color overlay, layer style, drag it down to the trash can, and now it's gone. So you can turn off the eyeball if you're not sure. That's the visibility icon. If you are sure you don't want that effect, you can just drag it into the trash can like any layer that you might not want. So you can move things around. You can, with the type, there's a few other features. I'm going to go back onto the type layer and click here to get the type panel. Let's say I've decided, let's see what it looks like in all caps. See these double T? All caps. So that's kind of cool. I want to change the size to a 60. Now I've made it really big. I'm going to hit the V key to go to the Move tool. Move this into here. And I've decided I want the color overlay to be something different. So all I have to do is go in here and move down to an orange, and now I've changed the color overlay. So really working with layer styles is a lot of fun. You have a lot of versatility. We are going to use these some more. In the next movie, I want to show you blend modes. So I'm going to leave this up and put a background on this particular file. I'm going to do a save as though. I'm going to go to File, Save As. I want to make sure I put it in the right place. So this is ADG Workshops. Here we go, images and source imagery. I'm going to put it in images. I am going to call this layer styles 001 version 1 and save it as a layered PSD file. And now we're going to move on to blend modes. See you in the next tutorial.